Good evening and welcome to another episode. Today I just wanted to talk about The White Lotus, the series as a whole, and mostly focusing on season 3. This is going to be full of spoilers, so hopefully you enjoy me just taking a minute to talk about it and ramble about it, and hopefully you can unwind a little bit while I do that. Who was your favorite character in season 3? For me, it was Parker Posey, who plays Victoria Ratliff. I thought she was pretty hilarious and incredibly convincing. I loved her accent and how she said certain words. Your father was an absolute Boy Scout. Also a standout was Amy Liu Wood, who plays Chelsea. And I thought she was incredibly charming and quite impressionable for the first time seeing her. Her look is just very unique and it's cool. I like that she owns her, well, I don't want to say not so perfect teeth because I think they're kind of perfect for her. Yeah, absolute stellar cast for season 3. I loved everyone. And I loved this season. I thought it was such a great location and it was the most enticing season yet. I wasn't a huge fan of season 2. I found it difficult to watch. Just wasn't a big fan of the characters. I thought a lot of them were very drab and a little bit boring as far as the situations that were going on, just the troubled relationships and the untrusting and the stress of all that. It just wasn't so appealing to me. So I was happy that season 3 was so refreshing, and the opening hook where it sets up the deaths that will occur, I thought was very engaging, and it felt bigger. And at first I thought it was going to be some sort of mass shooting event where people came to execute people, and it didn't quite play out that way. Starting with the Ratliff family. Jason Isaacs, I thought, who plays the father, was a stellar performance on his part. I really liked his performance and his character and how it was written. I don't think I've really seen a character quite written like this before, where someone just completely blocks out the troubles they have in their life and just leans into drugs and alcohol and just is trying to shake off how they're feeling. I'm sure it's happened a lot in movies. I know it has, but something about this performance and the way it was written was just felt it really real, just how he was just blocking it out and just consistently leaning into the drugs and just completely checking out of reality. It was quite hard to watch him be like that. I don't really feel like I've seen that done like this before, and it was difficult to watch him, just disappear like this, especially when he's comes in very strong and level-headed and confident and the man, so to speak, and he just completely cowers away inside of himself, and it's crazy where he goes in his mind. He totally loses it. You know, that scene where he's giving his family the poisoned drinks, and they're just standing around looking at him, and he's giving like a toast, and the tension was so thick. And I was like, wow, this guy's seriously about to annihilate his family. This is wild. I was on the edge of my seat during that scene. I was just like, no way. Is he just going to absolutely destroy everyone here? That was quite riveting, and just like, wow, what a change of mental state that he went through. Just completely losing the plot. Pretty unique. The younger son, Sam Navola, who plays Lachlan Ratliff, the young kid, he was fine. He held it down. Wasn't a huge fan of his character just because he didn't have a lot to offer, but that was how it was written, and you know, it was kind of realistic. I'll give it that. You know, he just this quiet kid who's trying to figure it out. There's some awkward stuff that happens, but you know, not much to say there except that he held it down and it was a good performance. Also really liked the I hadn't seen her before either, the daughter, Sarah Catherine Hook, who plays Piper Ratliff. I thought she had a really cool look, and she was great. She was totally believable, and I thought she absolutely nailed the role. She had kind of a cool face in the way, like it almost reminded me of Sarah Connor, like a young Sarah Connor. That could be interesting to see. Yeah, she's great. Hope to see her again. Patrick Schwarzenegger, Saxon Ratliff. I thought he was fantastic. I don't recall seeing him before. I didn't even know he existed before the show, and I was incredibly impressed by his work. You know, he was funny. He has a good comedic sensibility, and one thing I really got kind of stoked about was that you know, he looks like his father. He's got the Arnold look, and there's a couple of shots there where he's wearing sunglasses, and I was getting Terminator vibes, you know. And I was like, oh man, can we please, if they're gonna keep making Terminator movies, can we please get a young Terminator back in there? Because I'm tired of the excuses that they're trying to come up with for why the Terminator's old. I think they've rode that as far as it'll go, so I don't know, maybe Patrick can come in, and maybe if he hit the gym a little bit harder for the role, we could get another youthful Terminator T-800. Be super into that, and it seems like he's got better acting chops than his father, so I'm just curious what that would look like. Walton Goggins. You know, we've seen him around over the years, and for some reason I've never been that excited about him, but I've always thought he's got something unique going on. I really liked him in The Hateful Eight. Wasn't really into the Fallout show, so I kind of passed on that, but this is the first time I really took note of his performance and his abilities, and I thought he was great. I think some of the writing had failed him in some later episodes. I thought his character deserved a little bit better, but his performance wasn't lacking. And yeah, he's just got a cool look, and he just kind of owns the sloppy, grizzled, loose cannon energy, and I thought he really did a good job of showing these subdued emotions. It looked like there was a lot underneath there that was bothering him, and he played that very well, very subtle, and just that kind of anger, that buried anger underneath. You know, it's almost like the angry father who's got issues and he won't talk about it, and it just, I don't know, just felt very lived in, very lived in. To talk about some of those shortcomings in the script later on episodes, I just was a little disappointed with that. When they go and they're pretending to be the director and the producer, and they're making a movie together, him and his buddy there, Sam Rockwell. It was pretty weak that they didn't have a plan going into that. They very easily could have been thwarted by, anyone doing any research and finding out that they didn't have any movie tied to their names. It was very weak, and how awkward it was for them to kind of improv the movies, and he calls them by the wrong name. It was just so sloppy that it was disappointing, because it seemed like these guys were smarter than that. Although I will admit, the script never told us they were smarter than that. We just all assumed that they were. Maybe he truly is just an idiot and a loser and a scared child. And Sam Rockwell's character there, I mean, look how unhinged he was in that scene when he's talking about how he wants to be the little Asian girl, which was absolutely hilarious performance, by the way Sam Rockwell just stares at him like he's just not joking. He's 100% serious, and it's pretty intense. I thought that was just so hilarious, and Walton Goggins, his reactions to Sam Rockwell was absolutely priceless in that scene. Instant memes happening there. But yeah, I just and Woody Harrelson was supposed to play, or was going to play, Rick, but I guess Woody Harrelson wanted too much money, so they didn't get him. And I think it was the right choice, because I feel like, as much as I love Woody Harrelson, and he would have probably nailed the role as well, I just feel like we've kind of seen that before, and I think it was better to see Walton in this role. It was more interesting, and I think there was more layers there provided by Walton, and I think Woody Harrelson would have provided. Yeah, and who else? Oh, Carrie Coon, who played Laurie, the kind of outsider of the three friends, the three ladies there that are friends of the blonde ladies. Well, brunette and blonde. But Carrie Coon, she was, I don't really see her around much, but I remember seeing her first time in Gone Girl. Played Ben Affleck's character's twin sister there. I thought she was so good in that movie. There was just something she was doing that I thought was so subtle and realistic, just believable. And yeah, I just always liked her in that movie. I thought she was, I don't know, a lot better than people give her credit for, because I feel like people don't really talk about her too much. Maybe I just don't hear about it, but I heard her in an interview, her say that she doesn't get recognized and she loves it because she's just very subtle, and she doesn't have like a face that, like a movie star face. But I mean, how good is she in this though? She's incredible. There's some scenes where she is just like, someone get this woman an Academy Award already. She's crushing it. Like some of those scenes where she's laughing, having a good time, and she's acting drunk, and she's doing the little thing with her mouth that drunk people do, and they're just trying to not be drunk. And when she was scared and running for her life, and it was just so convincing. She's crazy good. She's a chameleon. I feel like she could play anything. Leslie Bibb, who played the other friend, Kate, the more kind of ritzy, perfectly put together. It was, I thought she was great too. And I don't recall really being a big fan of her work in the past. She's been around, and I've seen her, and she's always been good, but for some reason I never really took note of her performances. But this time she really stood out to me, and she grew on me, and I was like, you know what, Leslie, you are holding it down, and more so. She's she was bringing stuff to the table that other people wouldn't have brought. Just the little look she would do, and the way she'd breathe in and put her hands on her lap and be like, okay, And we're moving on to this subject now. And her little eye rolls, and yeah, I just thought she played it perfectly. So good job, Leslie Bibb, as well. And one of my other favorites is Michelle Monaghan. I've always liked her ever since Source Code. Actually, I know she was in those Mission Impossible movies for a bit, but I only ever really took notice when she was in Source Code. I just thought she was very subtle and very natural, and she was just I don't know, something very charming about Michelle Monaghan. I think she sprinkles a little magic on all the scenes that she does, and I really enjoyed this performance of Michelle's because she kind of came off a little like rowdy sometimes, and kind of sloppy and kind of rude and a little edgy, which was refreshing to see her that way. And it was just cool to see her like that. And she was a little raunchy there, and when she gets brought to the elderly person's resort and she's looking around just judging everyone, she's like, what is going on here? It was cracking me up. I thought she was really funny, and seeing her when she's at the club scene dancing and she keeps staring at those girls across the club scene, giving them these, like, I don't know what those looks were, these dagger stares, or she was just kind of like, yeah, what do you want? Look at me. I don't know. It was just, I don't think I've quite seen her perform like that before. It was just unique. I didn't know she had it in her, in a way. And another newcomer that I haven't seen before, Lalisa Manobal, who played Mook. I thought she was fantastic too. She was very subtle, very positive, very fresh face. She looked like a doll almost. It was a great performance, and I thought she played it really well. How she would kind of be into the security guard guy, the love interest there, and then you'd say something, and then she'd be kind of turned off a little bit. And very subtle, but like very accurate to real life. I think that was really neat how she played that. I hope to see her around more too. And Natasha Rothwell, who played Belinda, she was also in the other first season there. She's great. I wasn't a huge fan of some of the character choices there. I think maybe some of the writing or maybe some of the direction, but for example, when she's scared of like a bug in her closet, or she thinks there's something in her house, and she's like doing the nope. She's kind of noping out. I just felt a little cliche, and it seemed like her character was a little bit more realistic than that. It felt a little hokey there. Yeah, it just felt a little cliche some of those moments, but she's still great. The writer of the show, White, he writes really cool characters. They're all very unique and very lived in. I don't understand a few of the choices he made with the writing. Like, why would Rick, one of the things that really bothered me was why on earth would Rick go back to the White Lotus after threatening the owner's husband there, the guy that killed his father, with a gun? Why go back to the resort and hang out there? I thought that was one of the dumbest decisions ever made by a character in a movie. It was, juxtaposition with how everything else was so well written. It just was shocking that he could be so careless, and really, really stupid decision there. That didn't make sense. Like, all the other characters were behaving like they normally would, like the husband, the guy who killed his father, showing up and causing a scene. Like, what did you think was going to happen, Rick? I'm confused by the writing there. I feel like that could have been figured out better. Like, give him a reason why he had to go back to the resort, and have that intensity there. I don't just have him hanging out eating breakfast. That was weird, right? Just a very strange choice there. I wonder if the actor, Walton, was frustrated by the writing at that point, or questioning the script. I wonder, I feel like you couldn't help but question it. Now, regarding the climax of this series here, or the season, I should say, I loved the tension that was building up. Not being certain of who's going to be doing the shooting was really fun to think about and wonder who's going down and all that. However, it was frustrating watching Rick kind of spiral there and make these horrible decisions and risk his woman's life. Like he really threw it all away there, and I just feel like that was just so hard to watch. I mean, cool that it happened, but really just what a horrible decision this character makes. And when he's standing there looking at his girlfriend there, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Just get out of here. Just get out of here." And points to Walton Goggins here for playing that so well, because in that moment he really looked like a scared little boy, didn't he? He looked like he just didn't know what he was doing, and he was that little boy who just needed to get revenge for his father and making absolutely irrational decisions. So frustrating to watch him walk away from his girl and go do that, and she's standing right there. Everything you need, man, she's right there. Just walk away with her. Just brutal. One thing that personal preference here, I'm not saying it was written wrong, I'm just saying from my personal taste, I couldn't help but wish that he didn't die. Only because it's like he got off easy in a way. The fact that he kills his own father after all this that he's gone through, and then gets his girlfriend killed, and then he just dies. It's like, I kind of wish in the ending montage of the season, we got to see him being sat down in a cell, and now he just has to live with his horrible decisions. Like, it'd be like hell for him to have to live with those thoughts, but something about that seemed very dramatic and impactful, and just, wow, that would have been quite the ending for him if he had to live with that. Though I do like the shots we get of the two of them floating in the water dead. It's quite the image. Really quite horrifying to look at that, especially her. What's her character name again? Chelsea. She's just so lovely. To see her floating dead there because of him was just awful. And that shot where they show the two body bags being carted out to the plane was just, we know who those bags are. It was hard to watch that. It's just so sad. But I guess they're together forever, like they said. When the young son there drinks the poison shake, loved his whole death sequence and the images that he was seeing, the figures in the water and the drowning sequence. I thought was beautifully done. It was very tasteful, I thought, and it wasn't rubbing our faces in it too much. I thought my only gripe with it is that I wish they stuck the landing with it, and I wish he actually did pass away. Not that I want people to die, just that, again, the father having to live with his decisions and his horrible mindset that he was in. I just felt like there was punishment needed there, and I think it would have just made the show a little more impactful. It would have sat with me a little harder if the son had passed away there. And I thought where they were going with it was that we were going to find out that everything had blown over and the dad was not going to be in trouble at all, but then there's his son dead. I thought that would have been just a horrifying ending for them, but I thought that's where the show was going. And it's nice that he lived, I guess. In a way, it's a bit happier, but I thought the show was going to be a little darker than that, and I don't know. I kind of feel like they should have stuck the landing with his death. It was neat how he said, "I think I just saw God," to his father there. I just thought that was a cool line to say after someone had a near-death experience. It was just, I don't know. It was impactful for sure. It was a great season. I love the music. I heard that the composer there is they had a falling out with the director or something like that. He's not going to be coming back, I guess, for season 4, but I'm okay with that. As great as the music is and unique, I'm down for a change up. Maybe it could be refreshing for season 4. I feel like they really hit their stride for the most part in season 3, and I have a sneaking suspicion that season 4 is going to be even more spot on. I feel like he can tighten up the script next time a bit more and not have these complaints that everyone's having about those, silly decisions that the characters were making that felt out of character. Yeah, so very much looking forward to season 4. Can't wait for it. It feels a little empty now that the show's over. It was nice going to Thailand every Sunday. Me and my girlfriend miss it. One thing I did enjoy that was different this season is not having Jennifer Coolidge in it. Tanya is a great character and I adore her. And it was a great performance, but it was just, she's very almost slapstick in a way. She's so silly, she's so goofy, and it was just kind of nice to not have that presence this season, even though she still had to do with the plot. Oh, you know what? Another thing I just thought of, another gripe that I have, that I know other people have talked about it too, but I just want to mention, it felt weird at the ending how when Belinda's leaving on the boat with her son, and they're all like smiling and waving, and all the staff are out there at the beach waving like it's a normal goodbye. I just thought that was weird. Like there was this big shootout and people died, and like why are people just behaving like nothing happened? It felt like they just felt inconsistent there. It didn't feel real there, compared to how everything else feels very real. That just didn't work for me. It should have been a little more somber. Yeah. Other than that, though, I think that's all I have to say about the show. I just wanted to talk about the actors a bit there, and I guess that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and you'll catch me in the next one. Bye for now.